I'm Janine, and this is Outside the Box. Standing by to join me is special guest Jaime Schmidt. She's founder of Schmidt's Naturals, but she's also co-founder of the investment firm Color, co-founder of the business media company Supermaker, and author of this book, Supermaker, which is fabulous and very timely. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Did I get in camera there? Because I was looking at the screen reading your bio.
Yeah, you did.
I want to be like this. We had been talking, COVID hit, people are hunkering down March, April. Your book came out when? Was it April?
It was scheduled to first release in early April. We pushed it back to early September because of COVID. It was a tough decision because I really want people to have the book for the inspiration to start their business. It was perfect time. But at the same time, it was a little tricky to be promoting. And I really felt that my, attention and resources could be better put elsewhere. So I took on a couple other projects during those months. But when September rolled around, we're still in the midst of COVID. People are still at home. And I think, the timing of the book coming out was actually perfect.
Yes, I think so too. And, I'd mentioned I wanted to have you on the show because I started Outside the Box in April. I launched in May, and I was featuring industry experts sharing advice on how to find work remotely or pivot and start a new venture. So I was looking for people to talk about entrepreneurship and branding and definitely the pivoting. And I really want to touch on how did you start Schmidt's Naturals and what were you doing before that led to that?
I had been quite a journey of really trying to find happiness at work. A little background, I had graduated with a degree in business from Michigan State. With that degree, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of just chose it because I was forced to choose something.
Yeah.
And then right after college, I started working in human resources. And I really, I built my way up the ladder into a pretty prestigious job. And I was getting paid well. I had great benefits. I was pretty much probably set, for my future, but I just wasn't loving the work. So I told myself, you live once, so let's figure out, what it is you want to be doing. And I didn't figure it out until I was pregnant. Actually, I was 8 months pregnant when I started my business, and I was 31 years old. So it took some time. It took some getting my hands dirty and exploring different hobbies. But I'm just so grateful that I never did, settle. And it's harder the older we get.
Sure. What do you think it is about being pregnant or then having a child? All of a sudden, some of us, I know I did, we get really creative.
Yeah. You know what I think it was for me? I think it was, for the first time in my life, I felt, I'm about to become a mom and, my identity will be, mom. And I thought this is beautiful and great and exciting, but this might be my last chance to really, define myself outside of mother.
Yes.
Right. And so what is it that I wanted to do with my life? I kind of felt sort of rushed into figuring it out because I knew once baby was born, I'd be very involved,
right.
Of course, all my time. And so, I had been trying for many months, really years, I should say, different hobbies and taking classes and really trying to figure out what it is that I love doing. And it just so happened that I figured it out when I was 8 months pregnant. And so I thought, well, let's roll with this. But it was perfect because when my son was born, he would take naps and I would be in the kitchen right outside his bedroom. So I was able to formulate my products and then kind of, creep into his bedroom and check on him as needed. And so instead of napping when he napped, I was working but really loving it,
That's
so
good.
Yeah. And when he was born, I could take him with me to farmers markets. And that was where I started selling my products. And so it was a great opportunity for me to get out into the community, but also just bring a playpen and throw him in the playpen. And he was cute. So people like to stop by and
he was
talk
a
to
cute
him.
magnet.
Yeah. Exactly.
Magnet for people that want to come and talk.
Yeah.
Were products at the health expos across the country? I feel like I've seen the Natural Products Health Expo West.
Yeah. That's the biggest trade show in the industry is Natural Products Expo. I started selling there about 3 years into the business. It's a big investment to buy a booth and set it up and travel there, but it was so worth it.
It's amazing.
I think anybody that's, anything in the industry should be there. If you're not there, it's, makes people question, well, what's the legitimacy of this brand as a natural brand? And so I remember like the first couple of years, people reaching out to me and saying, why weren't you at Expo? And then I knew, okay, this is the place I need to be.
Because I think that's where I first heard about you, is at the Expo.
Oh, cool.
I was there as press.
Did you go there?
Oh yeah, I've been there many times. As a matter of fact, we were all crying in March when they had to cancel it.
I know. I love it. It's the place to be in the industry, and it's a great way to meet, others. And I got a lot of accounts that way. That's how I landed the Target account for Schmidt's.
Amazing. And where are you located?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland. Oh, that's right. Portland. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the book. This is such a cool book, Supermaker, and so timely, as I showed earlier, because a lot of people are at a point where they're at a crossroad of trying to figure out, do I go find that remote job or try to do something in my industry, but I have this great idea for a new business, but I don't really have a plan and I don't know what to do.
Yeah. The reason, that I wrote the book was really to let people know that entrepreneurship is within reach. I don't think there's a certain type of person that was, made to be an entrepreneur. I think sometimes we stumble into something we love and we recognize the business opportunity and what we're doing. And so my goal in writing it was really to provide practical advice that people can follow to take their hobby to the next level. In doing that, I tell the story of how I discovered my passion, and then I go really deep into everything that went into me building Schmidt's over the 7 years. And in doing that, I also offer little boxes, call out boxes with business advice. And the feedback I've been getting on the book is that the advice is really helpful because I'm telling stories of why I'm offering the advice. So a lot of business books, for example, might say, you need to do X, Y, Z, but they don't necessarily explain why. So my goal there really to my own personal stories and to really back up the advice that I'm giving.
Yes. I think it's a great book for women, moms especially, who want to do something, but they're not sure how to make this happen. And also, you talk about working with a spouse. Could you share advice on that? I mean, that has to have its challenges at times,
Yeah, it was interesting. So my husband, Chris, and we met actually at a job. So it's always been a part of our relationship. We've always worked together. When I started the business, it was really just my project. He was interested and he was supportive, but he didn't really come on board full time until about 4 years in. He was always available for, random tasks before then. He would help me with my website or run errands for me. But once we recognized, that our time was best spent building this, family business, then he quit his job and we were in, together.
Amazing.
It was definitely, it has its benefits and I guess minuses of working with your spouse. I think the thing that I love the most is having that partner alongside you to celebrate with, when something big happens, he's right there with me to be excited. Right. But at the same time, if we're both stressed out about something, then, one of us has to be the strong one and step up and be the rock. Yes. So there's pluses and minuses, but I don't think I would have wanted it any other way.
Plus you know that the person alongside of you has your back all the time.
Right. Yes. But, of course you need to have limits and boundaries and, how late into the night are we willing to talk about work?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, how are you doing right now with COVID as far as like taking care of yourself and making that balance with work?
Yeah, I was working from home before COVID. Schmidt's was acquired by Unilever in December of 2017. So with that transition, I started working from home. So I'm not involved operationally, but I'm still supporting the brand. But it's all work that I can do from my house. So I'm used to it. When COVID hit, that wasn't a big adjustment for me. But there's other adjustments. Like I was traveling a lot for different speaking engagements or to support Schmidt's with some PR work. So not being able to travel has made me, feel a little trapped at times.
Of course.
I think the biggest adjustment is really our son being at home. He's 10 years old and, doing school from the computer right next to us. And I think that, has just posed some new challenges for us.
Yes.
But we're making the best of it. And my way of thinking about it is this is I guess once in a lifetime, hopefully, opportunity to just, really enjoy this extra time as a family. And we might not get that back. And so I'm trying to, make the most of what we have.
And as an entrepreneur, you need to have that time for yourself, know when to unplug. Because if you're not taking the best care of yourself, you're not going to be good to those around you and all the things you have on your to-do list.
Yeah, that's an ongoing learning process, I think, for many of us. Is self-care and knowing how to take care of ourselves. It's just we never quite master it. I think it's an ongoing, evolving process.
Yeah. I have this routine, though, that I feel like I've needed to adopt more in COVID, where I have to have a cutoff bedtime. I have to have a cutoff that I'm going to disconnect from the phone. I don't want to talk about anything stressful at night. I certainly don't want to watch anything that's going to upset me, whether it's news or anything, and just really take care of my mental health because it affects my sleep.
It really does. Yeah. You can tell. I mean, I wake up with some kind of, panicky feeling sometimes if I'm not, taking measures like that. And I think also being able to take space from your family if you need it is really important too. And it's not anything personal. We all need a little bit of alone time. And so it's really critical that every, member of the family understands like, hey, it's okay for us to, maybe be alone in the room over here.
You bet.
I think, because that's so new for a lot of us.
As we put like 2 padlocks on our bedroom door.
Yeah.
Where's mommy?
Yeah.
It's true though. I mean, because you wear so many hats as a mom and as an entrepreneur, you're amping it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So tell us more about the book. Give us some highlights without giving too much away.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of it is just all the challenges that I went through as a business owner. And I go very deep into, all the things that could have been disastrous for the business. I had a lot of stumbling blocks along the way. But through every challenge, there were lessons learned. So that was my goal, was just to help, entrepreneurs understand there will be challenges along the way. But maybe I can help you avoid some of them through, the tips that I'm giving. But really, I think just like the overall message in there that I'm most proud of is just the resilience, and the dedication to your work. And that is just what carries you through, to the finish line.
Do you think there are skills we can teach today's youth that can create entrepreneurs of the future? For instance, like I had these crazy summer jobs, like one was painting houses and it taught me a lot. Another was working at a dry cleaners. It taught me how to engage with customers and have good interpersonal skills. Are there things that teens can do right now to kind of build on that?
I think that's exactly it, is try to get something out of every job that you hold. You may not love the work you're doing, but what can you learn from it that you can take with you? I also think knowing what you don't enjoy is half the battle of figuring out what you do like. So really just take notice of, what brings you joy and what, doesn't feel right to you, and not rush it or overthink it. I think a lot of times we think we have to have it all figured out at a very early age. And that, that's not true. And I think we continue to have, preferences that change as we get older, and, don't stress trying to define it, I guess.
Right. Or letting other people say, oh, how can you do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
If you're passionate about something, that's a tough one, right?
Yeah. And I always say, like, don't share your ideas too early and try to get other people's opinions, because that can throw you off track.
Yes.
I know a lot of times people really want to bring in people's opinions and make sure, what they're doing makes sense. And that's smart, at a certain stage. But I think in the earliest, just let your mind and your emotions and your intuition, really, really guide you.
Yes. And I feel like be open to, like, I love to write. So I'll write something and I'll just dump it out on paper, and then I'll self-edit without being so critical, but I'll just edit it myself. And I've gotten to the point where I really don't want people reading my scripts. I like, just write, Janine. Just don't criticize.
Yeah. It's so easy to get thrown off track from someone else's opinion, and that's similar with the competition too. If you're starting a business, I always say, don't obsess too much about what the competition is doing, because then your own mission gets a little, fuzzy, and you kind of start losing track of like what's important to you.
Right. And maybe you think you might want to have to copy them in order to compete with them.
Right.
That's not right.
Right. Because you'll say, oh, this is working for them, then I need to do the exact same thing. You can learn and be inspired and kind of work things into your strategy. But you really have to stay true to, what's most important to you.
Right. Was it a challenge writing this book at times, whether it was finding the time or knowing exactly what you wanted to get across?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I started, I remember thinking, gosh, do I really have anything interesting to say? But then it just started pouring out. I think the most fun part of it was really going back into some of the old emails I'd sent, and really seeing, how much I've grown and developed as a business person and just as a human in general. Mm-hmm. And so it was fun, but there were definitely moments of getting stuck. And I think we just have to know the right time, to work on certain projects and maybe taking breaks or stepping back. And then, the inspiration always hits at moments that you're not expecting it.
Oh yeah.
And so for me in writing my book, I always had either my notes app on my phone or, a piece of paper to write down things that would strike me.
That's really great advice. Any information you'd like to leave the listeners with as far as those that are really interested in your book and also starting their new business during COVID?
Yeah. I think my biggest piece of advice right now would be there's no perfect time. I know a lot of us get hung up on thinking we need, this beautiful business plan or have everything figured out or, but in reality, I just don't think there's ever the right time. So just jump in now if you're feeling it and you'll figure things out as you go. You don't have to know everything in the beginning. It's really, as you start going along, you'll know what's important and what you have to learn, and then you'll learn it as you go.
That's great advice. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I started this show, the idea in April, launched it in May, and I was editing the video myself, figuring out the direction I want to go and just growing and willing to, put my time into this and being so excited I'd get up even earlier every morning. And when you know that you're passionate about something, that's what happens.
Yes. And you'll just feel it, right? It feels different when you found your thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Where can people find out more about you, Jaime?
I have a few different outlets online. I guess I have my website. It's JaimeSchmidt.info. Also Instagram and Twitter is just Jaime Schmidt. My name is spelled Jaime. A little tricky. But yeah, easy to find me. And I'm always happy to engage if some people have questions or need advice on something. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
One thing I didn't mention is I love the part in the book when you were talking about when you went into work and you were so hesitant because here you were moving away from Schmidt's Naturals into your next new adventure. It's so hard to change and pivot, but it's necessary, right?
Yeah, it is. I think, we're constantly evolving as people, and it's okay to have, closure on things or add things to, to a repertoire of work. With Schmidt's, I'm still involved, and it's very important for me to stay engaged at a certain level. But I knew it was time for me to step away operationally, and that meant opening up more opportunities for me, like my investment fund that I started, the opportunity to write this book. So it's okay. No human, I don't think, is meant to do the same thing forever.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this, and congratulations on your book. Very timely.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.